All right, let's jump right in. Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're opening up the Insider's Playbook on mastering regulatory inspections and audits and doing it totally panic-free. Now, if you're operating in a regulated environment, you already know the basics of good manufacturing practices. But let's be real, knowing the rules and actually proving you follow them while an inspector is scrutinizing your every single move, those are two entirely different skill sets. So this Explainer is going to be your elite guide. We're going to look at exactly how inspectors think, how to build a culture that is just perpetually ready, and how to execute flawlessly when they finally walk through those doors. Let's get into it. Here is our four-part strategic roadmap for today. First, decoding the inspector. Second, the training camp. Third, game day execution. And finally, the post-game tape.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, decoding the inspector. Understanding an inspector's logic and motivation actually makes your facility so much easier to inspect. There is a hard, distinct line between two very different types of scrutiny here. We hear people use the words audit and inspection interchangeably all the time, but we really shouldn't. A customer audit, that's a business arrangement. It's driven by a commercial contract, it's done by a client, and it feeds right into your quality agreement. But a regulatory inspection, that is conducted by a competent authority, and it is backed by actual law. They hold the licensing power. They literally have the authority to restrict, suspend, or completely withdraw your ability to operate. Their ultimate goal is patient protection. So treating a formal regulatory inspection like just another routine customer audit, that is a massive miscalculation.
So how exactly do they inspect? Well, they definitely don't just sit in a conference room and read isolated records anymore. Today, they use a systems-based inspection approach. They usually start by picking one system, let's say deviations. Then they follow the thread. They trace it from your high-level standard operating procedures right down to the shop floor. They pull real, tangible examples. And here's where it gets tricky. They cross over into linked systems. A weakness in a deviation, that's going to lead them straight into your CAPA, your corrective and preventative actions, and your change control systems. It's literally like pulling a single loose thread just to see how much of the whole sweater unravels. Ultimately, they're judging the true, underlying effectiveness of your entire quality system.
Moving right along to Section 2, the training camp.
Because knowing exactly how they inspect means you have to totally change how you prepare. Facilities usually operate under one of two totally different philosophies. On one hand, we've got the chaotic cramming culture. You know exactly what this looks like, right? It's that universal stomach-dropping panic when an unannounced inspector signs the visitor log in the lobby. Suddenly, there are frantic cleanups, people are backfilling records under immense pressure, anxious staff are rehearsing their lines. It treats the whole event like a sudden crisis. On the other hand, we have a true state of readiness. Compliance is just sustained daily. Records are filled out in real time. Staff are calm and confident because to them, an inspection is literally just business as usual. And you achieve this through really robust, honest internal self-inspections that catch those little issues way before the regulator ever shows up.
Now, a major part of that cool, business-as-usual feeling comes from having a highly orchestrated inspection team. This is definitely not something you just figure out on the fly. You need an inspector lead or host to actively manage the inspector. You need a front room, that's where the inspector actually sits, kept completely calm and focused. You need a back room, which we'll dive into in just a second. You need runners moving documents quickly and quietly between those rooms, and absolutely crucially, you need a scribe, someone dedicated to capturing every single question asked and every single commitment made.
Let's look a bit closer at the back room, because honestly, this gets misunderstood a lot. The back room is basically the engine of your entire inspection response. Its job is to coordinate all those document requests, prepare your subject matter experts before they go out, and perform a strict quality check on the information before it ever reaches the front room. But let me be perfectly crystal clear here. The back room never, ever hides unfavorable records. Doing that is a severe breach of integrity. Their job is to ensure accuracy, context, and completeness, not to cover up your gaps.
All right, let's get to the main event. Section 3, game day execution.
When that inspector is standing right in front of you, looking you in the eye and asking pointed questions, how do you behave? The absolute most crucial point is mastering these golden rules. First and foremost, tell the truth, always. Integrity issues are the absolute fastest way to a critical finding. Next, answer exactly what was asked. No more, no less. Volunteering extra, unprompted information, that is incredibly dangerous, and it almost always opens up totally new, unnecessary lines of investigation. Pause before you answer to just compose your thoughts. Do not speculate, ever. And above all, stay calm and stay professional. Your composure signals directly to the inspector that your site is fully in control.
Okay, picture this high-anxiety scenario. You're sitting in the front room. The inspector asks you a highly specific question about a delayed in-process check, and you genuinely, simply, do not know the answer. What do? Do you panic? Do you take a guess? Do you try to change the subject? Let's look at a real-world case study to see exactly how they should be handled.
Listen to exactly what a precise, factual, and completely non-speculative answer sounds like. An operator was asked about a tricky timing discrepancy. They didn't guess, they took a breath, paused and said, "The step was performed at the recorded time. Let me confirm the exact recording practice, and I'll retrieve the relevant procedure for you." Notice what they did there. They stated only the actual facts they knew for sure. They professionally acknowledged the gap in their immediate knowledge, and they immediately offered to provide documented evidence to close that gap. Brilliant.
Now compare that stellar answer with a disastrous alternative. A really poor answer would be blurting out something like, "Oh, we always write those up at the end of the shift. Everyone does it." That single sentence is a complete nightmare. It speculates, it generalizes an isolated issue across the entire facility completely unprompted, and it instantly admits to a massive data integrity gap. The good answer protects the facility because it remains precise, factual, and strictly bound by the evidence. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 4, the post-game tape.
Look, eventually the inspection ends, and receiving a finding, that happens to even the absolute best facilities. But mishandling that finding can be devastating. First, you've got to understand the severity of the feedback you're getting. A critical finding is the most serious. It means there's a deficiency that risks or actually produces significant harm to the patient. A major finding points to a real systemic weakness or maybe a pattern of smaller issues adding up. A minor finding is just a departure from good manufacturing practices that needs correcting, but it isn't critical or major. An other is usually just a helpful recommendation or a comment. Knowing this exact classification dictates just how rapidly and intensely you have to respond.
When you are hit with a formal observation, you don't just slap a quick Band-Aid on it and call it a day. You have to follow these 5 mandatory steps. First, acknowledge you actually understand the finding. Second, dig deep for the true root cause. Third, implement an immediate correction just to fix the specific issue the inspector pointed out. Fourth, design a broader systemic corrective action so it can never, ever happen again. And fifth, check the preventive scope, meaning you must look across your entire site to make sure this exact same weakness isn't hiding somewhere else.
You've got to remember, regulators read your written responses very, very carefully. Check out the contrast between how a strong site and a weak site respond. A weak response almost always blames human error. Let me be crystal clear about this. Human error is a massive red flag to an inspector. If an operator made a mistake, a strong response steps back and asks exactly why the system allowed that error to occur in the first place. Weak responses fix single records, strong responses check the whole site. Weak responses promise impossible, overly optimistic timelines, just to look good. Strong responses offer realistic, verified timelines that are actually going to stick.
And setting up that incredibly strong response actually starts right at the closeout meeting. When the inspector is sitting there reading out their findings before leaving your facility, your job is simply to listen carefully, clarify to understand, but whatever you do, do not argue. Debating the inspector right there in the closeout meeting is completely counterproductive. Acknowledge their points professionally, make sure the scribe captures them exactly as stated, and calmly confirm the next steps and the expected timelines for your written response.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to really help you assess your own operations. If an inspector arrived unannounced at your facility right now, like this very minute, what would they actually find? Would they walk into a site frantically cramming, backfilling records in a state of sheer panic? Or would they find a team operating in a calm, perpetual state of readiness, where full compliance is literally just business as usual? Remember, while an inspection eventually comes to an end, your state of readiness never, ever should. Think about what changes you need to make today to guarantee your team is always ready for tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.